You may recall from a previous video that the front left wheel bearing on my Wheego is completely shot, causing the wheel to wobble all over the place. It also seems to be causing the car to dart around uncontrollably at speed and causing a bizarre pull to the right under acceleration. Well, I've procrastinated it long enough, and now it's time to replace that bearing. I outsourced the disassembly of the wheel hub from the wheel carrier just using a shop press. I did that because I couldn't immediately see how it would come apart, how it pressed apart, and I was afraid of damaging it. So I had a shop do it. Anyway, here's the wheel bearing. I expected to, when they pulled it apart, also here's the wheel hub. Here's the wheel hub. I expected when they pulled it apart and I got it home, I expected to see a massively chewed up bearing, and this looks totally fine. I mean, really, it looks totally fine. I had it apart earlier and, well, I got some grit in it and the shield's a little bit damaged now because I had to get it apart. But I can't see what's wrong with it. My only hunch is that the bearing is in two halves, and maybe, just maybe, when they were pressing the wheel hub through the center of the bearing, it caught on the second half and second half of the bearing, the inside race, and pushed it out just a little bit. Because if this seal isn't snug in there, then the bearing has just the tiniest amount of wobble. And that's the only thing I can possibly see that is the problem with this, because the bearing looks fine otherwise. The wheel hub looks fine. The inside of the wheel carrier over there looks fine. So I had no idea what else to do, and I ordered a new wheel bearing. Well, I already chewed up this one anyway. And there's some grit in there now, so I needed to do that anyway, but if that doesn't fix it, then I have no idea what the problem is. Anyway, the new bearing should be coming in about a week, and I'll put it on then. We'll see if that fixes it. I ordered a new wheel bearing from Amazon, and here it is. It's tight as a drum, which I bloody hope so, because it's brand new. I have had some time to think on it, stew on it, about a week. That's how long it took to get this new wheel bearing. And I am firmly attached to the idea that the old wheel bearing, that the only thing that was wrong with it was a manufacturing defect, because, like I said, there's no visible signs of wear. It made no noise. All it did was wobble a little bit. It was loose. The previous owner drove it like this for 10,000 miles and didn't think anything was wrong with it. I mean, granted, the rest of the car is a piece of crap and probably distracted him from that, but he still drove like that for 10,000 miles, and nobody noticed this problem? Whatever. I'm going to put on the new wheel bearing now. I'm going to see if the problem's fixed, which I can't imagine the problem would not be fixed after I put on this new wheel bearing unless it's the wrong size or something. I'm still wondering what's wrong with the old bearing because, like I said, no visible signs of damage. All right, moment of truth. Yes, no movement at all. You know, like how a car should come out of the factory being. I really hope that old bearing didn't actually come out of the factory like that. I hope it just developed the looseness over time. But anyway, it should handle like a proper normal car now. Let's give it a test drive, shall we? It's dark outside, so I apologize if you can't see anything I'm doing. Sure. The real test is hard acceleration. Will the wheel turn? Let's find out. Go. Okay, it did, actually. I don't know what to think about that. I had hoped to solve two driving issues with Wheego by replacing this wheel bearing. One, it sort of darts around uncontrollably on the highway. That's annoying. And two, it pulls to the right under acceleration. But it's more than just torque steer. I have to input about 5 degrees of counterlock into the steering wheel in order to just stay in a straight line under the influence from the go pedal. It's like something's loose. Well, now by replacing my bad wheel bearing, I fixed exactly one of these problems. It's now somewhat controllable on the highway, but it still pulls to the right. I thought I had this problem figured out because the left wheel would visibly toe in under acceleration, as you can see in this footage. The only problem is that I took this video after installing the new wheel bearing. Why is it still loose? To make things more complicated, I can't explain why it's pulling to the right so heavily, because the right wheel also has visible toe in under acceleration. So what am I going to do about this situation? Well, nothing. I have given up for now. Here's the Wheego's window rolling down.